lot of you know who I am. My name is Bill Morgan. I work as an engineer, and we've been having lessons here the first Saturday of every month for about 5 months now. Some of the past lessons are on the book table on DVD for $5. That's what they cost us. And there's other books there as well for a couple dollars. And I just had a little flashback of a story. Years ago, well, I still write a newsletter, a Creation Evolution newsletter. And this one guy said, you know, your newsletter is kind of amateurish. And I said, well, I'm an amateur. Okay, so thank you very much. But today we're going to talk about things that high school students need to know regarding creation versus evolution. Next one. Oh, I got introduced. Julia Morgan, Director of Media Operations. Sweet. Okay, next one, sweetheart.
Bill, you're not up there. There we go.
Okay. It was promoted as 6 things, but as I studied more and more, the list kept growing. But I cut it to about 7, and I think next week we're going to talk about even more things. A lot of things that people need to know about creation versus evolution. Okay, next one. Okay, here's a scary picture. That's me when I was about 14 years old. Skinniest human on planet Earth. I was taking in 4,000 calories a day, doing all I could. I could not gain any weight. There's my sister. She's here tonight. But I like the picture. I choose to laugh at myself. But anyways, my history is this. I was raised going to church every Sunday. Went to Christian camps, Christian summer Sunday school, many, many things. But at the age of 14, my biology teacher taught me the theory of evolution as if it were an absolute scientific fact, and I had nothing to counter what he was teaching, and I believed it. And I figured if man is related to ape, I knew Genesis well enough that taught that man came how? According to Genesis. Man was created from the dust of the ground, and at the age of 14, I was thinking about this. And I know 2 secrets about everybody in this room. Secret number 1, you prefer to be considered smart instead of a dummy. When I was 14, I thought all smart scientists believed in the theory of evolution and that it was science. And I believed Christians were typically nice people, but completely closed-minded and ignoring facts of science, and chose to believe what mommy and daddy and grandma and grandpa told them to believe. Can anybody relate to this kind of peer pressure? So I'm sitting there and he's teaching us the theory of evolution. I say, I'm not going to counter him and be called a dummy or laughed at. But here's the real reason I think at 14 I really bought into the theory of evolution. First off, we've all seen that monkey chart, right? Those cartoon drawings. How many people remember the very first time you saw that monkey chart? Like it was an important moment in your life. Anybody remember? I remember it. The first time was in 6th grade. It was in Mr. Wicker's homeroom. Only my sister knows Mr. Wicker. There was a Time Life book. I was sitting down. I looked at it. They had the cartoon drawings of man and ape. And it said man is related to the ape. And in 6th grade, I said, that's ridiculous. People are not related to apes. And I chose to not believe it. But at 14, I chose to believe it. And I feel the difference was this. I'll treat everybody like an adult. Active hormones. Now, the second secret I know about everybody in here is every single person in here is tempted by sin, and you don't brag about it. How many people would quickly relate to that? You come to church, you sit down, and you talk to somebody, say, hey, how are you doing, George? I'm doing great. How are you doing? Yeah, I'm doing real good too. Then you sit down at church and you say, gee, I'm the only scumbag in this church. Right? Everybody else in church has a perfect walk with God except me, because I have all these temptations going through my head. Everybody is being tempted every day. At 14, I had all these temptations going on in my life. And it's not really a secret, but everybody has these. And at 14, I was tempted. They taught me the theory of evolution is true. I said, if the science teaches the theory of evolution is true, that means the Bible is wrong about creation. If the Bible is wrong about creation, it's also wrong about what? All of those rules. And as a tempted 14-year-old, I said to myself, hallelujah, amen, brother. I'm not going to church anymore. I'm not going to listen to those rules in that book because those rules are wrong. Science has proved that book to be wrong. How many people here have ever gone through that same thought and struggle? Why should I believe this book when science says it's wrong? And I know I'm skinny, as you can see here. I did work construction for about 7 summers. And some of the crews were completely born again. And they would witness to me over and over, and I would say to them, I know that worked for you, I know that really helped you in your life, but I believe in science. I'm an engineering major. I mean, these were big guys. They had tattoos all over the place. One guy had been hooked on heroin. One guy was hooked on coke. These guys had been hooked on everything except phonics. Okay? But nice guys, I could tell they had a changed life, but I didn't listen to their witnessing at all because I was convinced science had disproven all of what they had taught. At the age of 26, I learned a few facts about creation evolution. I'm going to share them with you today. And my only wish in life is not that everybody believes me, but that everybody would check out both sides before they choose what to believe. I know in the public schools, they have a small percentage of people with a lot of power have a fit if the theory of evolution is even questioned. And I'm all for education and enlightening. Look at both sides. I honestly don't care what anyone believes, but I do care that they hear both sides. Anybody amen to that? Amen. And believe anything you want, but the schools are often fearful of lawsuits to only teach one side. Okay, next one, please. Okay, what is science? First thing everyone should know. Next one. The most important part of science, and I actually touched on this the first week, or the first lesson we had, begins with the letter O.
Observation.
Nice and loud? Good, you guys are quick. Next one. The key to science is observation. Next one, please. The first step of science is what? Anybody? Next one. Hypothesize. Good. Well, I chose the word idea, but you make more money if you have a hypothesis instead of an idea. Okay? It's an idea. You start with an idea. What do you do with your idea? You test it. Suppose I had an idea that this pen could fly. What would you request? Test it. I'm an engineer. I have a degree in engineering. Why are you questioning me? Are you religious? You don't believe me? Well, what you should say is congratulations on your degree. That's really nice. I still want to see the evidence. Okay? I want everybody to check the evidence of both sides. If you are a Christian, don't believe it just because mom and dad told you to. Ask them why you should be a Christian, and your faith will be stronger. So, okay, I'll give you the evidence. 1, 2, 3, 4, a million, billion, a trillion times the pen falls. Really, trust me, pens could fly. Should you believe me? Why not? Didn't see the evidence. Next one. The last step of science is reaching a conclusion. The question in anything in science, is your conclusion based upon the idea or the observation? I have debated evolutionists in public. I've talked to thousands, maybe thousands, on college campuses. I have never seen them present powerful evidence for it. Thus, I believe their conclusion is based upon the idea. Okay? My conclusion when I was 14 was based upon emotion. I didn't want to listen to the rules in this book, and some cartoon drawings. Okay? But suppose I were to tell you that you have ape-like ancestors. What would you politely request? Proof. What, are you religious or something? I have a Ph.D. in anthropology. I don't. Why don't you believe me? You should say, great, that's a good degree. I'm glad you have it. What is the evidence? Here's the evidence that you don't have ape-like ancestors. Suppose you were to go to the zoo. You have an ape in a cage at the zoo. And you have to pay $50 to look at that ape. Nothing alive today gets a $25 discount because that's a close family relative in that cage, right? If man has ape-like ancestors, why isn't there one alive today? If the theory of evolution is true, why isn't there one living organism alive today to support it? There should be billions and billions of them, but we don't see these half men, half ape walking around today. Evolutionists believe that birds have lizard-like ancestors. Now you've seen 1 million birds in your life. You've seen a few hundred lizards. Nobody has ever seen a what? A blizzard, right. I'm from Buffalo. I've seen snow blizzards, but I have never seen a half bird, half blizzard. Evolutionists hate details. I want you to love details. You will be a better creationist if you seek the details. Think of the details of a lizard becoming a bird. What do the front legs of that lizard have to become? Wings. Think of the details. How by mutation do legs become wings? First off, Mr. and Mrs. Lizard have an offspring. The egg hatches, they look at it, and the dad says, "Ma, them legs don't look right." What would they do? They would kill it. In nature, they kill their mutants. But suppose they don't kill it and those legs are slowly becoming wings. This would take millions and millions of years by their own estimate. Well, you've got animals with half legs, half wings. They can't run or they can't fly. They can't catch food or get away from predators. And supposedly, the theory of evolution is all about advantages, right? Well, why aren't they even alive today? They should be, but what do we see today? We observe fantastic birds with amazing flight abilities. And what did they come from? Or what do they make? We see great lizards with great skills. What do they come from? And what do they make? Every living organism alive today supports creation. Zero living evidence today supports the theory of evolution. So which theory, creation or evolution, is supported by observational evidence? Creation. And the fossils do not support it as well. Everything in the fossil record is 100% ape, human, bird, lizard, etc. Next one, please. Okay. Now, when I was in high school, I thought all scientists believed in the theory of evolution. How many of you have heard it taught that way? All real scientists believe in the theory of evolution. How many people believe that? Okay. Next one, please. Now, this is just one guy. His name is John Sanford. His story is great. He was, I'll tell it to you real quickly. I heard him speak. He's a geneticist, Ph.D. from Wisconsin University, taught at Cornell. He was having marital problems. He didn't care about the issue. Most people don't care one way or the other. Do you agree with that? You got a little 5% who's hardcore creation, 5% hardcore theory of evolution. Most people don't care. That's what he would have fallen into. He was teaching at Cornell, having marital problems, and he told his story to everybody, so it's not gossip. His wife said, "I heard they give free counseling at the church." They started going to church. They liked it. The pastor said, "Hey, John, how about teaching the first graders?" And he's like, sure. And he goes, "I better read the Bible." To make a long story short, he's born again, young earth creationist. Yeah. And he invented something called the gene gun, where they can put DNA into plants to produce or to minimize pesticides and animals attacking it. Incredible invention, young earth creationist. Next one. How many heard of this guy? Raymond Damadian invented the MRI machine. He's an unashamed young earth creationist. Next one. And you have this list in your handout. Don't look at it now, but a list of about 40 PhDs from great degrees, great universities, great accomplishments. And on the bottom is a website that lists even more. When I was 14 years old, I would have eaten this up. I would have loved to have known that people disagreed, and I like a good controversy. I would have dug into both sides and see which one makes more sense. But this information I never knew about. And next one. I know that's a long website, but if you do a search on the first guy's name, Raymond Damadian, thousands of creationists are listed on this website. I only found this out a few days ago, and somehow even my name got onto it. But the list is enormous. What we should tell young people is great minds disagree. There are absolutely incredibly brilliant geniuses who believe in the theory of evolution. We can't deny that. But there are also geniuses in science who believe in creation. Teach a little bit of both. Let them decide where the facts lay. Next one, please. Okay. The secret weapon of the theory of evolution. If you learn the secret weapon of the theory of evolution, a lot of their arguments fall apart. First off, the key to science is what? Observation. Okay, next one, please. I have the secret of theory of evolution right here. This is the magic wand of time. They cannot live without it. I've taken college biology, astronomy, I read their stuff, powerless without it. I'm going to teach you how birds got feathers. This is out of a current high school textbook. About 150 million years ago. Too long ago to be what? Observed. Animals similar to today's lizards began running on two legs. This was the extinct Harley-Davidson lizard doing wheelies to impress the girlfriends. Over millions of years, their stiff scales changed, growing longer and softer, allowing the animal to glide between leaves. Eventually, that's faith in time, the scales evolved to become feathers, and what? Over millions of years, gliding became flying, and a new animal emerged, the bird. How much science did I present? How many times did I wave the magic wand of time? How many people recognize the magic wand of time? And they use it over and over. But for a lizard to become a bird, there's other problems too. The solid bones have to become what? The back feet have to become perching feet. The respiratory system has to change. The brain has to change. Millions and millions of changes over millions of years. You can believe that birds have lizard ancestors if you want. But do not call it what? Science. It's not supported by observation. Okay? Next one, please. Now, this is the biology textbook they're using at Edison High School currently. How did photosynthesis evolve? Well, it evolved billions of years ago among bacteria. Oh, that's how it evolved. And I couldn't put the whole chapter there. They never explained the how. They just said it did. You can call it a just so happened story. Science does not rely on it. Science relies on what? Observation, evidence, proof. You can't just say, oh, it just happened billions of years ago. It needs evidence. And next one. Okay, this guy, absolute genius, Ph.D., and he studied the brain. The brain evolved, what? Hundreds of thousands of years ago to cope with problems in the physical and social worlds. No evidence at all of how it evolved. It just so happened. That is not science. That is blind what? Faith. We need evidence. Okay, next one. Okay, this guy's at USC. The brain evolved over millions of years ago for a purpose. Who wants to guess what that purpose is? Next one. It was advantageous to have an organ that could monitor, integrate, regulate all the other organs of the organism. How many people are satisfied with that answer? It's not science. You can believe it if you want, but don't call it science. And once again, the guy is a genius. Only he knows why he really believes that. It's not because he's observed it. Next one, please. And next one. I love apes. Okay. All right. Next one. And you know, truly, everyone in here, you should have the attitude, I will become an atheist, but I need evidence. Amen? You should not be a Christian for emotional reasons only. Be one because of intellect, reason, things that you've seen, observed, and tested. It'll make you a stronger Christian. I love when I go to colleges and they say, I question everything. Good. Question Christianity, question the theory of evolution. Not enough people are doing that. Okay, here comes some hard-hitting science for you. Next one. Next one. Next one. And next one. Okay, quick story on this. This slide took me about an hour and a half to make. My daughter said, Dad, you cannot have Prince Charming with Sleeping Beauty. How many guys have no idea what I'm talking about? Any guys? How many girls know exactly what I'm talking about? See, I never knew they all had their own little princess. But anyway, I didn't want to go looking, so I did it there. Next one. Yeah, next one. She's doing a great job. And next one. And next one. Now that's the theory of evolution. And this is my favorite slide too. I hope his career stays good so I don't have to change the slide. Evolutionists believe humans have amphibian ancestors. Your question could be, what caused the change? They'll say, oh, this changed in millions and millions and millions of years. But what about a kiss from a princess? No, that's a fairy tale. We don't believe that. Millions of years. Neither one of them is a scientific answer because it's not backed up by observation. Next one. We believe frogs make what? And people come from? That's genetics, that's biochemistry, taxonomy, zoology, paleontology, all of the ologies support people make people, frogs make frogs. Now, one of my lessons, we spent a whole hour on this, but it's still one of the key points that people need to know regarding the question of origins and creation versus evolution. What will most people that you could call a skeptic say how the universe began? I heard it, nice and loud?
Big Bang.
Good, next one. Big Bang. You gonna question that guy? You could politely. Okay, next slide. The question, very important, was not how did the universe expand. What does the Big Bang talk about? The expansion of matter, energy, and space. We're not talking about how it expanded. Next one. What was the question? How did it begin? The Big Bang, does it answer how it began? No, that's the question we asked. Next one. How did it originate? And I've talked to a lot of people on this subject, the Big Bang. Okay, great. That's how you think it expanded. How did it begin? We don't know. Very important point. Did I ask him if he knew how the universe began? I asked him what? What he thinks. Do you 100% scientifically know how the universe began? No, because you weren't there. So we got to use logic, inductive, deductive, everything like that to come up with the best guess. Now, when I witnessed, once at UCLA, I was talking to a Ph.D. in astronomy. I said, how did the universe originate? What do you think? I don't know. Didn't ask you if you knew. What do you think? He said, there's many possibilities. Many people disagree on this. Guess what I said? Nothing. It's a powerful thing. I just stood there for a second. He said, there's many ideas, many possibilities. And a lot of people have looked into this, and a lot of them disagree. He's like saying, please interrupt me. He couldn't present any cogent logic idea of how the universe began. Next one. Students need to know the first and second laws of thermodynamics. How many people do know them a little bit? How many do not? Okay, don't be intimidated, and it's explained in your comment book. That's why I give you written stuff. Next one, please. Okay, the first law of thermodynamics. Anybody want to shout it out? Matter and energy is neither created nor destroyed. Not that complicated. You remember the Sound of Music? Nothing comes from nothing. That's the first law of thermodynamics. You don't get everything from nothing. That's the first law of thermodynamics. Next one, please. The universe did not get here from nothing by natural means. The first law of thermodynamics is a natural law of science. Falsifies an atheistic view of how the universe got here. I think it's the best scientific reason to believe in a supernatural God. And this, again, is in your comment book with more explanation. Next one, please. So, the skeptic might say, and colleges I'll often say that, oh, okay, UC Irvine, I still remember. The guy said, okay, well, maybe the universe is eternal. What falsifies that idea? Any answers? Genesis does. It's something else. Very good. The second law of thermodynamics. Next one, please. Okay, he's wrong. My kids picked the colors to this one, and I like them. The second law of thermodynamics teaches, next one. Matter and energy are functions of what? Time. Matter and energy are functions of time. They degrade over time. If matter and energy is a function of time, it is not independent of time. It cannot be eternal. Everyone that I know in physics, whether they're a radical young earth creationist or an atheist, no longer believes in an eternal universe. Aristotle used to believe in that, but our Bible contradicted Aristotle in the first verse of the Bible. which is what? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's 2 laws of science in the first 4 words of the Bible. Sometimes people say, why do you believe in the Bible? The first 4 words nail 2 laws of science. In the beginning, the universe had a beginning. Second law of thermodynamics. God, the beginning was supernatural. The first 4 words contradicted Aristotle, who everybody bowed down to as the genius of science. And our book has been proven right. You do not have to be ashamed of your Bible. Next one. So thus they're not eternal. And next one. Great job. Okay, I was at Huntington Beach High School, a psychology class. Students could invite guest speakers, and I taught that. And she said, with a sneer, I Googled the word sneer, clicked images, and I found that. She said, so are you saying God just poofed the universe into existence? So I thought about it, and I said, yes, I believe God poofed the universe into existence. This universe either poofed from absolutely nothing, 0 intellect, or poofed from intellect and power and majesty way beyond our comprehension. Amen. It's nothing in the middle. It's either incredible greatness and power or nothing. So the debate is, I said to her politely, which poof do you believe in? I believe in poof of intellect design. Do we fully understand this designer? Not even close. All we can know about him is what the Bible teaches. But I believe the question is, what poof do you believe in? Next one. Okay, how did life originate? The simplest powerful argument for creation versus evolution. Next one. I used it yesterday. Okay, how did life originate? Next one, please. The law of biogenesis. How many people have heard of this? They are trying to take it out of science textbooks. They are trying to say it is no longer a law. It states life only comes from what? Life. Nice and loud? Life. Very good. Next one, Julia. Life only comes from life. Law of science they're trying to take out of science textbooks. Because it's been disproven? Absolutely not, because they don't like it. But you decide for yourself. That's censorship. Next one, please. Okay, the Edison textbook. Life arose from non-living matter on the early earth. Never says how. There's the reference if you want to look it up. Next one. Okay, this guy is named George Wald. Incredible intellect, incredible genius. Won the Nobel Prize for working on vision. He lived to be 91 years, an amazingly brilliant mind. And he's talking about the origin of life here. Time is, in fact, the hero of the plot. The time with which we have to deal is of the order of 2 billion years. Next one. There's a younger picture of him. Given so much time, the impossible becomes possible. The probable, or possible becomes probable, and the probable virtually certain. One only has to wait. Time itself performs the miracles. No matter what your belief is, you believe in miracles. Miracles are beliefs that are not supported by science. The origin of life is a miracle. We attribute it to a supernatural. He calls it a miracle, attributes it to time. Once again, he attributes it to 0 intellect and information source. We attribute it to much greater power and intellect than we can imagine. Once again, brilliant man, bad conclusion. Next one. Oh yeah, love apes. Next one. This is my honest opinion. In my heart of hearts, if I believed life came from non-life, I would be tormented from what I know. I just couldn't be able to grasp it. The first step in me becoming a Christian was not people sharing the gospel. I had heard that. Is I had to resolve creation versus evolution in my mind. I'd heard all the Bible stories, learned a lot of Bible songs, and once it started to say, my goodness, this stuff is not true, then I started to seek a God. My favorite verse in the Bible is Matthew 7:7. Anybody know it? I'll give you the first word, then you will know it. Seek. Seek and you shall find. I started to seek, but I needed the creation stimulus. Now, not everybody needs that. We have to be all things to who? All people, but many, many people need that creation witness before they will get into relationship with Christ. Next one, please. Okay, how many heard of these terms before? Micro and macroevolution, incredibly important, maybe the most important thing to know. Next one, please. This is, in my opinion, the biggest mistake creationists make. I see it made over and over and over again, even by experts. I hope you guys don't make this mistake. Next one. They ask the wrong question. Next one. Do you believe in evolution? This is what happens. A creationist or someone asks them, do you believe in evolution? I'll play the part of the evolutionist in their thinking. Let's see, do I believe in natural selection? Do I believe in variation? Do I believe things change? Yes, I do believe it. Christian, oh, man, how can you believe that stuff? What's wrong with you? And this guy's saying, this person doesn't know anything about science. So we'll elaborate with more slides here. Never, never ask that question, do you believe in evolution? I'll tell you the question to ask later. Next one. Okay, suppose someone asked you if you believe in evolution. Next one. How many would say yes? Next one. How many would say no? Next one. How many would you say, what do you mean when you say evolution? This is so vital, I can't emphasize it enough. This is the question I ask. What are you talking about when you say evolution? Next one. And then high school students really need to know this. Now this is out of a current biology textbook. Next one. Evolution, or change over time, is the process by which modern organisms have descended from ancient organisms. Thank you very much. How many would say true? How many would say false? Well, it seems true to me, but don't get too mad at me. Things have descended from ancient organisms, and they can change. It's a very nebulous, cloudy type statement to make. Next one. That's why we're going to bring it to the black and white. Natural selection. Let's start with natural selection. Next one, please. How many think natural selection? How many have never heard, don't feel bad, you've never heard of natural selection? How many have heard of it? How many think it is false? Any of you? How many think it is true? How many wonder where the pizza is? Food tastes better when you're hungry. Okay, get hungrier. Okay, next one. Now, this is in your comic book and it's explained in your comic book. Very important for people to understand. When I debate evolutionists, and I would debate them once a week, but they won't debate, I always start with these slides. Imagine you own a furry dog and a hairless dog. You take them camping with you to Alaska in the summertime. You come home, imagine you're a kid, and your parents say, hey, welcome home. Where's the dogs? And you say, oh, Mom, I left the dogs in Alaska. So the dogs are stuck in Alaska in the summertime. They fall in love and get married, reproduce. What do they make? Next one. They make a mixture of dogs. Some of their offspring are furry, some are hairless. Winter comes. What's going to happen? Well, first, the hairless ones are Chihuahuas. They're going to say mucho frio. Then those poor, beautiful dogs are going to die. These dogs survive, and if you survive, you can reproduce. What kind of dogs do they make? Next one, please. They're most likely going to make furry dogs, but the phenotype for a hairless dog, it's a fancy word for physical trait. These dogs could produce a hairless dog, but when the next winter comes, what happens to him? Freezes to death and dies. In a short amount of time, the only type of dog in Alaska will be what? Furry. Suppose you left your dogs in a hot desert. These two. The only type of dog that might survive would be what? Hairless. Next one, please. Is natural selection 100% true? Raise your hand if you think so. Everybody raise your hand real high. You could ruin the day of an evolutionist by saying, of course I believe in natural selection. It happens every single day on this planet. Next one. Natural selection is 100% true. If you're a hairless dog in Alaska, you die. That's natural selection. Next one. Is natural selection evidence that dogs have bacterial ancestors? Nice and loud? No. Next one. No, absolutely not. Next one. Dogs what? Now when I was 14 And when I read these biology textbooks, I see tons and tons of evidence of natural selection. And then they often lump and say, see, the theory of evolution is true. Well, you've got to know the difference. Next one, please. Dogs make dogs. And next one. How many people here have ever bought shoes? Very important question. Did you make the shoes or select the shoes? Is there a difference between creating shoes and selecting shoes? What does natural selection do? Nice and loud. It selects. Can natural selection create anything? No, I've seen all kinds of quotes. Everything we see today is the product of natural selection. No, natural selection selects things that have already been what? Already been created. It picks and chooses. You didn't create these shoes, you selected them. What we see today has already been created. It's already in the DNA and in the genetics, and things get eliminated. Natural selection doesn't make anything. It eliminates the unfit. You've heard of survival of the fittest, right? That means the fit survive. That is an intelligent statement as saying a single man is a bachelor. A bachelor is a single man. Of course, if you're surviving, you are fit. If you are fit, you're going to survive. It doesn't make hearts, brains, lungs, livers, kidneys, etc. Next one, please. What does natural selection do once again? Next one, because that question comes up. It selects. Next one. It does not, once again. And that was my other daughter's colors. Next one, please. All right, next one. Okay, sneakiest trick evolutionists pull. Next one. They teach that natural selection is evidence that humans have bacterial ancestors. Natural selection is good science, but it doesn't provide any evidence at all that you are related to bacteria. Next one. And that really confused me when I was 14. Now, some know this and some don't. Many teachers of evolution have become creationists when they've dug into the letter D, the details. Next one. Okay, micro and macro, microscope, etc. means small. Macro means large. Micro is small changes, macro is large changes. Next one. Let's give an example. Okay, that's you and there's your wife. Imagine you're a male, you get married, you have 19 kids. That's a real family. When one became a nun. Okay, next one. Some are tall, some are short. Some look like mom, some look like dad, some are redhead, black hair, some are smart, some are dumb, some are good athletes, some are bad athletes, etc., etc. Every single one, though, is what? Next one. Human. Variation is 1,000,000% true. There's variation among offspring, but still they're all the same kind. The Bible talks about kind. I've talked to people a lot smarter than me. That's like at the family level, like the dog is a canine, family level. Feline, equine. That's probably where the kind level is in the Bible. Next one. It's called variation, microevolution, small changes within the family. Next one, please. Okay, we have a quiz for you. Which one of these is probably not related to the other three? What do you think? I think the answer is C. These are all canines. They could go back in the record to an animal with the genetics to make the different types. Natural selection is true. I've heard in certain parts of Mexico where the dogs are wild. Do you see French poodles running around? Greyhounds? You see these real strong, rugged, tough dogs running around. So I believe the answer here is C. Next one. For the final exam, which one of these is probably not related to the other three? Now, the evolutionist, the person who believes in the theory of evolution, believes they all are related to each other. The creationist would say, no, you can get a lot of variety of tortoises. These are actually the tortoises on the Galapagos Islands. Based upon their environment, you could have different changes, and certain traits are rewarded, some are eliminated. You can get variation, but they are all still what? Okay, good. Next one, please. All right, adaptation. How many heard of, oh, the animal adapts? How many heard that? How many believe adaptation is false? How many believe it's true? I'll give you an example of adaptation. Next one. And next one. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Anyone seen such a horse so hairy? I went up north in Northern California in the winter, and I saw a horse with fur like this. I called the Institute for Creation Research, which is in your comic book, and they answered their phone. And I said, yo, what up with the hairy horses? He said, all of us, including you, have enzymes in your body that are triggered by the environment. You put this horse in the snow, certain enzymes are fired, and they will grow long hair. We could take the same horse and put him on the equator. Guess what? He will have short hair. I believe that's a result of design and information. Once again, I'm from Buffalo. People say, oh, you're from Buffalo, you're used to the cold. How many people are from back east? How many people would relate, no, every winter, you got to get used to it again, right? You freeze in October, but by February, you're tough, you're used to it. That's because your body has enzymes that help you adapt to different climates. I met someone who worked in Antarctica. They were comfortable at 0 degrees after a while. That's how God designed you and designed animals. Yes, adaptation is true. The next one. Still a horse, right? Didn't evolve into something else. Next one. Okay, here comes the word game. Who wants to play? I need a volunteer. It's an easy game. Thank you. You can stand up, please. I'll give you a free book if you get the word right, and you can ask your parents for help. Next one. Only hit this one once. Be careful. What word could replace the word in red? This is out of a biology textbook. Next one. Okay. Birds have extraordinarily well, what? Developed eyes. What could you replace this word with? Developed insinuates, implies theory of evolution. What could you change that word developed with? Birds have extraordinarily well what? You can ask your parents for help. Anyone? Starts with D-E.
Design.
Very good. All right, next one. I would say extraordinarily well designed eyes. Okay. One nice thing is I am a design engineer. I look at the eye. I say, oh, of course that's how God designed it. Simple, right? No, not even beyond words can describe the beauty of the design of an eye. But well-developed assumes evolutionism. Next one, please. Okay. The theory of evolution, what does it teach? We'll go through these. Next one. Good to know what people believe. Next one, please. Now, this is from a book by evolutionists. I own a lot of books by evolutionists. Every one I bought at a used bookstore. So they don't get my money. But I read their stuff. This is a timeline. And this is all the stuff alive today according to the theory of evolution chart. So this is today, and this is in your comic book, and it's described, and you're going back in time. People need to know what they believe. You've got gorillas, zebras, frogs, mushrooms, trees. We're going to study. Notice humans didn't make it. It might be arrogant to think that we belong on the chart. I don't know. But hit the zoom button, Julia. Hit the next one. We zoom in here. We have PowerPoint 2020. We zoom in. We look at the gorilla. We look back in history of the gorilla and the line of the zebra and the gorilla joined together. What are they teaching when the two lines join together? Exactly, I heard it. The zebra and the gorilla have a common ancestor. That some animal lived where some offspring became zebra, some became gorilla. Is this animal alive today? No. Is there one fossil to support it ever existed? No. Why do they teach it then? Because of observation? Because they like the idea? Absolutely. This is not a scientific teaching if there's no evidence for it. You go back further, evolutionists believe gorillas and frogs share a common ancestor, and it's right there. Evolutionists believe mushrooms and gorillas share a common ancestor. No laughing, this is science. Next one, please. This is not science. You go back further, evolutionists believe pine trees and gorillas have a common ancestor. And so do you. You are related to mushrooms and pine trees and frogs. If you go all the way back, all life has single-cell organism ancestors. Most people say a form of bacteria. Next one. So all life has bacteria ancestors. If you think the theory of evolution is true, next one. You think you have what?
Bacteria ancestors.
Very good. Next one. Next one. If you think creation is true, next one. You think bacteria can only make what? It's not complicated stuff. Next one. And next one. And people come from people. Next one. It's not complicated at all. That is the main difference between creation and the theory of evolution. I never ask someone, do you believe in evolution? I always ask them this. Do you believe you have what? Bacteria ancestors. That's the important question to ask. Okay? UC Irvine, I was witnessing, passing my stuff out. This guy came by in a little bow tie. I said, good morning. I handed him one. He said, what is this? Same comic book you have. Put my hands behind my back. I said, this is on creation evolution. What is your opinion? He said, well, I teach evolutionary biology. I said, okay, what is your opinion? He goes, evolution, of course. What question did I ask him? Absolutely right. Do you believe you have bacterial ancestors? And he was with a buddy, which made it even better. He goes, here, take this back. Well, I couldn't take it back because my hands were behind my back, right? I said, no, you should read it. You'll enjoy it. I want to save a tree. Your soul is more important than a tree. So, why didn't he simply answer yes when I asked him if he had bacteria ancestors? Why did he get mad, emotional, and angry? Because he doesn't really believe it. Suppose I said, do you believe in gravity? Of course I believe in gravity, young man. If he really believed it was scientific and intellectual, he wouldn't get emotional about it. But he became unglued, started to walk away, simply because I asked, do you believe you have bacterial ancestors? And he yelled at me. He goes, I'm not talking to you because you're closed-minded. How many people have worked construction? Anyone? All day long, what do? You rip on each other, right? So I have experiences with comebacks. He says, I'm not talking to you, you're closed-minded. I said, if I'm closed-minded, why are you leaving? And he left. He doesn't really believe it. He's teaching it at UC Irvine. That's why people have to be equipped. Next one, please. What's this? That's right. Next one. That is bacteria on the sharp end of a needle. Electron microscope image. If you're an evolutionist, that's Grandpa Joe. Why are you laughing? That's your... Evolutionists believe that is your relative. Evolutionists believe 100 of your relatives could sunbathe on the sharp end of a needle. Most importantly, if you're an evolutionist and you wash your hands with antibacterial soap, what are you doing? You are murdering your family. You should be arrested by PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Bacteria. I think it takes more faith to believe that is your relative than to believe that was created as bacteria, came from bacteria, can only make bacteria. I think they have more faith than we do. Next one, please. Next one. Okay, next one. Does bacteria get mutated? How many say yes? Next one. Very good. Next one. Next one. It is still what? Brilliant, brilliant people. I've asked them, do you believe you have bacterial ancestors? And they say, well, bacteria mutates. Yes, it is still what? Next one. A good song. There it is, bacteria. Okay, beautiful, isn't it? Looks like Icon mics. Next one. Okay, there's only one place where evolutionists continually beat up on us. Where is that? Next one. It's not in debates. I say this humbly. If anyone knows an evolutionist who will debate, I will debate them. We could do it here on a Saturday. We could do it anywhere. I will debate an evolutionist. I'd love to. I've only had 5 debates in 15 years of trying. Why won't they debate? The real reason is they can't defend it, but they'll say, it doesn't deserve a forum, it's already been decided. Well, I don't think that's the truth. Okay. Next one. Courts. How many people are familiar with courts? Going to talk about courts real quickly. Next one. Dover, Pennsylvania. How many people are familiar with this? I'll summarize it. Oh, there were intelligent design in Dover, Pennsylvania. This was a big issue a couple years ago. Going to ask you a question, you probably don't know the answer. Next one. What was the issue that got the ACLU and the skeptics all hot and bothered about it? I'd love to hear an answer. Why were they up? What were they trying to do in Dover, Pennsylvania? They got people so mad. Okay, what about intelligent design? Teach it? Put it in the books? Present it? Not even close. Take a look at this. Next one. The federal trial was because they wanted to mention intelligent design in a 4-paragraph statement. They weren't trying to teach it. They wanted to read a 4-paragraph statement that many people do not believe that humans have bacterial ancestors. They weren't trying to teach it. They were just going to mention that people disagree with it. And all the king's horses and all the king's lawyers sued the Dover school district. So they don't even want people to get a sniff of an alternate idea. To me, that is mind control. It's not science, because their science doesn't hold up. Next one. Pizza's smelling good. So here's the judge. Turn his eyes out a little bit. No. He said, intelligent design is religion, and schools must not teach what? It's not religion. It's science. Laws of thermodynamics, biogenesis, etc. Next one. Now, suppose someone came up to you and said, creation is religion and evolution is science. What would you say? Why not? Next one, Julia. We're in the home stretch. This is what people say. You can't teach creation. It's religious, and we can't dare teach that in school. Very important point to remember. Next one. The debate is not about whether creation is religious or not. What's the debate? Next one. Whether it's what? Next. Whether it's true or not. Don't get into debates. It's a theory, a hypothesis. It's this. Is it true or is it not true? That's black and white. That's what you're pursuing. Whether it's religious or not, is it true or not? Next one. Okay, this was in a biology book used at USC regarding the origin of life. Ties things together. What was the origin of the first life? We will never know for sure, of course, how life on Earth began. And he's right, because nobody was there. Next one. But science seeks natural causes for natural phenomena, and that is the approach that what? Must guide scientific inquiry about the origin of life. This is what they do. They say science can only deal with the natural. Oh, supernatural? Sorry, we can't do that. Well, why not? Because we define what science is. Science should pursue truth, not an ideology or a definition. But that's what they say. And I read it. He had like 13 opinions on how life began, everything except intelligent design. If life came from non-life, is that scientific? No, it violates the law of biogenesis. But that's what they're teaching. This is not science at all. Next one. Okay, 6 things students should know. What is science? What is it? Observation. What is the theory of evolution's secret weapon? Magic wand of time. How did the universe originate? Well, it did not originate from nothing by natural means. The best reason is supernatural intervention, intelligent design. It had to be supernatural because it wasn't natural. Next one. How did life originate? It didn't originate by natural means. Microevolution means what? Small changes, macro is big. And is it a religious debate? No, they want it to be because they can beat it that way. It's a debate about truth. And next one, please. Now just suppose. Okay. That's Carl Sagan, the late Carl Sagan. Next one. I've said this to people. I said, just suppose, you're talking to an atheist, by the wildest of your imagination, 60,000 miles of blood vessels are the result of design. Aren't we looking silly by saying we'll consider anything except design? You follow me? Aren't we? We'll consider anything except this one idea. Well, what if that idea is true? You should pursue truth in school. Next one. We look. Next one. We're looking goofy. to prove an ideology instead of seeking truth. I believe veins are designed, hearts are designed, central nervous systems are designed. Next one. We have to seek all views and hold on to what is good, reject that what's bad. And next one. We're really in the home stretch now. Calvary Chapel, Marietta. Anybody heard what's gone on there lately? Nobody? This is huge, huge news if you're a Christian. If you homeschool, this is huge news. If you send your kids to Christian schools, this is gigantic news. Glad you came tonight. Now, does it sound familiar? Anybody? Okay, next one. What? The textbooks. Okay. Okay, Judge Ortero, a federal judge. UC schools were looking at kids' resumes and saying, oh, they took biology from this certain Christian textbook. We're not recognizing them as having biology. Thank you, but you cannot enter our science program because we don't think you've ever taken science. And don't believe me, do a search on this, okay? So a lot of people are taking classes from Christian schools, and UC schools at their discretion can say, no, we're not even going to consider you as having a science background. So they're rejected 150 religious high school courses. Now, it's a university by university decision, but it's happening all over the place. So Marietta sued them and lost. He was the judge. Next one. Because he says they lack what? Academic merit. Now, I don't know what to do, if we should petition Arnold or what. Maybe some of you have leadership ideas on how this. But once again, this is undermining a pursuit of truth. This is people pushing their worldview. Because if you want your kid to get into UC Berkeley, which is a great place for a Christian, those type schools have the best Christian clubs because they're picked on the most. And they need your kids there. But if you want to go to UC Berkeley, you might have to change the curriculum that they're taught. Next one. Lacks academic merit. That's what the judge said. Go ahead, please. Next one. Is it academic merit to teach? Next one. The universe came from nothing. Next one. Life came from non-life. Next one. Humans have bacterial ancestors. Their beliefs lack academic merit. Ours are supported by science, but they're in control. They have more zeal in these issues than we do. And next one. Okay, I love this slide. Look at the little person.
It's a purse.
I love the internet. I don't know how I could teach these without the internet, but I think Christians have to wake up. I don't want to offend anyone, but we're often just learning Bible stories and lifting holy hands. We have to know there's a spiritual war on there, and we're on a ship that is often being sunk that we have to be aware of. And we say amen. Amen. A lot of people choose to not even think about that, but this stuff is going on in the real world. Next one. Well, what can you do? I have an idea. Next one. First, you got to learn what's being taught. Next one. Ask questions. This is a great website. You read an article, they say they found a fossil called blah, 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 blah. Go to answersingenesis.org, type in it, and they'll have a rebuttal in there up in 2 or 3 days. It's good to learn both sides of the argument. Next one. Do a little street witnessing. Uh-oh. Now, a lot of people will go to Australia, Austria, England, the Philippines for missionary work. You can do 40 minutes of witnessing and have a big impact on a lot of people's lives. Next one. Whoop, not quite the end yet. My daughter here, my other daughters and I, we go to high schools, like say school starts at 8. I'm going to see if anybody wants to join me in this. Whoop, excuse me. Yes. Oh, Rachel's 10 now. My 10-year-old daughter, my 7-year-old, my 4-year-old. We stay off school property. We stand where a lot of kids will walk by. We simply say good morning and hand them a creation comic book. Now, every time I'm about to go, the day before I go, I don't really want to do this. I'd rather sleep in. How many people know what I'm talking about? Maybe next time I'll do it. But every time I've done it, I've been glad I've gone. And we make those comic books. The kids take them. 90% will take them. They pass them around in school. Sometimes a security guard or a policeman might ask what you're doing. I've never been in any trouble with them. But how many, and these high school kids are not going to come to church and say, teach me about creation. We have to go out and reach them. Now, how many people would want to perhaps sign up, and I'll talk to you about it. It's 40 minutes. I'll pay for the comic books. You don't have to go to France or Australia to do missionary work. All you have to do is get out of a warm bed a little bit earlier, take an hour off work, and simply say good morning to a lot of nice kids. And there's a million stories I could talk about. Once a policeman says, what are you doing? I always say, I respect you for doing your job and checking me out. All I'm doing is handing comic books to kids that teach science, that they are not related to apes and bacteria. Can I have a stack of those? I want to pass them on. They love it all the time. But there's many stories I could share. But anybody want to sign up? And you're not signing up to go. We can just talk about it. But it's missionary work. Takes 40 minutes. And Julia, you can do the next one. And Russell, kids, could you give these to people who raise their hand? If anyone who wants to hear more about it, I gave this lesson to 1,500 people once, and one person went once with me. But, yes. Okay? So raise your hand if you'd like to learn more about it, and I promise you, you will not get arrested. And keep your hands nice and high. Yes?